Previously on Power Reviews. Kind of an aspiring author. Still looking for a publisher. So I'm doing a web series for our scientific and technical consultant, Dr. K.
Do I exist?
Doesn't matter.
Merry Christmas, DB.
You and Mayo look exactly the same.
Can you remember anything from before we met? Maybe you should worry a little bit less about whether or not I'm real, and a little bit more about yourself.
K. No, I do not need a co-host. And I have my apartment back, and I have a date! I have a publisher!
What?
And now, Database Rangers Power Review. Greetings, Ranger fans, and welcome to Power Reviews. Is that what you expect me to say? Just pretend that everything's fine and that nothing happened?
What are you talking about?
You can't just up and disappear and then reappear out of the blue just as everything in my life is finally coming together.
Disappeared? What do you mean disappeared? Where did I go?
You were... No, wait, that's my question. Where were... You know what? Never mind. I don't care. I'm not playing this game anymore. You do not exist. This conversation is over. I'm leaving.
But...
Nope.
Would you just...
La 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 la.
Oh, that's very mature.
Can't hear you. Bye. Hi there. How are you doing? Yes. I was told to be here at Database Ranger. I'm an author. I have 2
Right
minutes.
this way.
Okay.
You will wait here until further notice.
Sure, no problem. When will... Okie dokes. Greetings, Ranger fans, and welcome to the waiting room. Why is she back? I mean, I know that she's not real. She can't be real. Real people don't just pop in and out of existence. And she's from the show. She can't be from the show. I mean, she's not Olivia Tennant. She's just Kay. But she looks like Mayo. But maybe Mayo looks like her. Just think it through. Think it through. Think back to the show. Think back to the episode. Just think through the episode, and maybe you can make sense of all this. Just remember and think back to episode 11 of Power Rangers RPM. Dr. K. Kay gives the opening narration of what was originally thought to be PR's last season, explaining how the Venjix computer virus took over the world with its robot army and humanity took refuge in the domed city of Corinth, which may or may not be built up over Boston, and where they're protected by... Alright, maybe I don't need to remember all of it, but I will admit that theme did manage to burrow its way into my fond memories by sheer force of will. Leading the team is Stern Ranger Red Scott, Bonnie Ranger Blue Flynn, Perfect Ranger Yellow Summer, Jumpy Ranger Green Ziggy, and Brooding Ranger Black Dylan. Yes, the colors come after the word Ranger, no I don't know why, I'm just glad she never called me Ranger Database. That would make me sound like a computer or something. Plus I'm not actually a ranger, so yeah. Anywho, she joins the cast along with Scott's dad, Colonel Truman, and villainous Tenaya Seven, who would later be revealed to be Dylan's cyborg sister to the surprise of absolutely no one, especially since Dylan is a cyborg himself with no memory of the past, the latter part of which I can definitely relate to. Ironically, producer Judd Lind did a similar storyline with Power Rangers in Space, but the groundwork was done by initial producer Eddie Gazzellian, though that's not important here. The episode proper begins with Kay in her lab, playing Paganini Caprice No. 24 on the violin. I have no idea how I know that. Somehow, she is commanding the Zord interface through her music, working furiously at the strings until Summer interrupts and... she dismisses her, promising to join them shortly. Kay never liked for people to see her cry. In a grand, oddly steampunk palace, Venjix reveals his latest creation, the Generation 12 Reflexbot, to his generals, who have a less than favorable reaction.
Look at those 2 heads, they're disgusting! Can machines throw up? I think I'm gonna throw up!
Yeah, for all of RPM's strengths, a plethora of intelligent and complex villains was not one of them. Anywho, Crunch and Shifter aside, actually I'm not even sure if they've established which one is which at this point. Venjix is still intelligent enough to trust Tenaya 7 with a second copy of the attack bot, though apparently not intelligent enough to make it part of their standard operating procedure. Come to think of it, how did this thing take over the world again? Back on track. In the garage, Kay explains to the Colonel that Venjix has out-technobabbled them, and without an additional flux overthruster, the MacGuffin that Scott retrieved from his brother's downed fighter jet to help Dylan and Ziggy Zords form the Valve Max Megazord, they have no hope of winning the giant robot arms race. I mean, an arms race of giant robot technology, not a race between giant robot arms, which I suppose would be possibly, even if a little absurd. Well, more than a little, and it is really strange not having anyone to tell me when I've gone off topic.
Hold everything, people. Are we or are we not the good guys?
Tell me, what's it like?
What's what like?
Being stupid your whole life. Is it as wonderful as it seems?
Well, at least you never accused me of being stupid. And obsessive, compulsive, psychologically unstable, delusional amnesiac, yes, but never stupid. And here is where we get to the meat of the story, as Kay thinks back to her time as a young girl, happily scribbling complex experimental equations out on the blacktop to the tune of Chopin's Minute Waltz, which always makes me think of breakfast for some reason. And then, they arrived. They took her, dressed her up in a little lab coat, and told her she was allergic to the sun. They never let her play outside again. They gave her rocket codes to crack, guidance systems to design, and every year wished her a happy birthday without ever allowing her a slice of cake. They stripped everything from her. And still, each year, they asked for her birthday wish.
I wish I could remember my name.
They're nameless. They're faceless. They have no acronym. They are known only as Alphabet Soup. Not too shabby for a group that was originally introduced as part of a punchline.
Did you go to Hobson College? Newton Pratt, maybe? Knightington.
I grew up working round the clock in a top secret military think tank, codenamed Alphabet Soup.
Were you in a sorority?
I think those headphones were the only things keeping our brain from leaking out. Back in the current timeline, the Rangers race out to face off against the Reflexbot, immediately forming the Megazords to minimize the amount of time spent with cute and cuddly Zords in a post-apocalyptic setting. Unfortunately, once the Rangers discover the bot's ability to
materially reproduce any solid object captured in its optics,
they find both the Valve Max and the High-Octane Megazords to be quickly laid out by their own weapons. But before it can finish them off, the bot suddenly has a catastrophic systems failure, shrinks back down to size, and collapses on the ground. Nothing suspiciously convenient about that at all. So naturally, the military brings it to Kay's lab for further study, where Corporal Hicks, whose every goofball action retroactively seems sinister to me in light of later developments, stirs her memory of meeting the original two Project Ranger test pilots, Jem and Gemma.
Hello,
Dr. K.
I'm Jem.
And I'm Gemma.
We're going to have so much fun working together.
Just tell us what we can do.
Well, I suppose it could be worse. At least they're not continually introducing themselves and worshipping Martha Stewart. After her next birthday leads to an unexpected gift.
Gemma, you two should know, I don't even like you.
That's okay, we know.
But we can still like you, can't we?
Kay is met by another guest in the form of a butterfly that leads her away from Murloc's eventual prison, through the ancient Egyptian ruins of Mercer Industries that lead to Blake's Thunderblade training ground, and finally down the staircase of Ninja Ops, where she is finally exposed to the light of day for the first time in almost 10 years. And people say that I don't get out often enough. This memory is interrupted by yet another Venjix attack, as drones swarm in through the duplicated breaches created by the Reflexbot. And here begins the battle of Chekhov's Armory. Referring, of course, not to nuclear vessels, but to items that are introduced early in the story for later use, like Tenaya 7 bursting out of the defunct attack bot, Kay busting out the refrigerator cannon from episode 5, Tenaya's hand getting detached upon capture and then popping up again to cause trouble like in episodes 5 and 8, the second Reflexbot showing up, the sonic stripper cannon from episode 6, the violin! But I'm getting ahead of myself. Shortly after Kay captures her for reprogramming the Zords to be even more cartoony than usual, Tenaya swears that she'll escape, prompting yet another memory. the one that changed the world.
I'm getting out of here, and I'm taking you two with me.
It's a self-aware, self-generating computer virus. Meet Project Vengex.
All she was trying to do was blind the security servers, but they caught on to her before she could install the firewall. By the time they had figured out what she had done, it was already too late.
I just wanted to go outside!
Outside? Maybe that has something to do with it. But how? The Rangers formed the High-Octane Megazord to battle the second Reflex bot, which has now copied traits from Shifter and Crunch. Because they're such perfect examples of high-end technology. While in the lab, Tenaya taunts Kay by going all Omar Little on her.
She stands alone.
Have I even seen The Wire? The taunt strikes a nerve, and she goes berserk with the sound cannon, remembering how the world fell under Vengex control. We see her recording the emergency message from the premiere, albeit a bit more frantically than it came across there, and grabbing the cloak that she would later wear in another earlier episode. I've really got to figure out how tenses work in anachronic storytelling. But before she can leave with the Project Ranger technology, her handlers show their true colors, refusing to allow the secret of Vengex's origins to escape the facility. This is quickly followed by Jem and Gemma showing their true colors, in a fairly epic case of Beware the Silly Ones.
I'm glad we're friends.
Oh yes, so are we?
Before she can talk them out of it, they race off for the Gold and Silver Series technology, disappearing in an explosion of debris. She lost her only friends. I can't blame her for having so much trouble making new ones. Or for wanting to have them psychologically vetted first, all things considered. Back in the lab, Tenaya prepares to finish Kay off with the Reflex Bot mirror.
Thanks. I've really been wanting one of your sound cannons.
She knows what that thing does, right? Well, I guess I'm not asking what she does in her spare time. In a stroke of brilliance, Kay dodges aside at the last second, creating the duplicate flux overthrusters she so sorely needed. Not entirely sure how she manages to run over and grab it so fast, though, or why Tenaya doesn't try to stop her during the ensuing Zenith Megazord transformation, but maybe I should instead just focus on the awesomeness of a giant robot with crocodile feet doing a flying kick through a mirror. And just in case we weren't feeling classy enough, Kay closes things out with another rousing rendition of Paganini Caprice No. 24, which not only provides a lovely juxtaposition against the destruction of the Reflex Bot by the Zenith Megazord, but also commands the Ranger Room computer systems to flush Tenaya out through the exhaust port. Not entirely sure how one violin piece commands two different functions, but I guess I should just be glad that O Tannenbaum didn't burn the apartment down. And with that, the credits roll as Kay remembers finally stepping outside the Alphabet Soup facility into the wasteland of her own making, and looks over at the last remaining keepsake of her two lost friends. And that's the end of the episode. So, what did I think of it? Well, it's widely considered one of the best episodes of Power Rangers ever produced, and for good reason. It's a tightly focused, well-constructed, emotionally powerful story with great pathos. It's not perfect, of course. The threat posed by Vengex and Tenaya is conveyed more through the dialogue than the action, and is actually undermined by how easy it is for a diminutive teenager to physically outmaneuver a cybernetically enhanced warrior. Unless, of course, Kay has some genetic enhancements of her own that I'm not aware of, which would explain why it was so easy for her to carry Ziggy around in episode 29. Anywho, I mean, some people might be put off by the lack of focus on the Rangers themselves, but in truth, this episode is such a key part of the season as a whole that it ends up being a perfectly acceptable narrative sacrifice. And it sets a great example, not just for Power Rangers, but for television writing in general, on how you can tell a beautiful standalone story and tie it together masterfully into a larger world. Beyond the revelations, expanding your understanding of the core conflict, and the introduction of two new characters that will not only serve to push the story forward, but ultimately play a major role in its final resolution, the simple repetition of multiple minor elements from previous episodes creates a level of consistency that helps to build immersion within that environment. Not that I really need any help getting immersed. I mean, I could probably do with a little bit less immersion. Keeps using up all my milk, and of course I'm the one who needs to do all the shopping, because it would be the end of the world for her to just step outside and... Alright, poor choice of words. And speaking of word choices, for a season that's known for snarky banter, there are a surprising number of scenes here with no dialogue at all. Instead, the action is emotionally underscored by the beautifully appropriate choices in music, tying nicely into her implied status as a musical prodigy. And the fact that music is even used to directly interface with technology, both in the soup and in the Ranger Room, makes the integration even more seamless. And I'm actually somewhat disappointed that this wasn't really explored beyond this episode. But overall, what's really at the core of this episode is... her. Olivia Tennant's performance as Kay is poignant and heartbreaking, but that couldn't be if there weren't a poignant and heartbreaking story to tell. She was a little kid who wanted nothing more than to go outside and be a kid. Broke the world trying to do it. So, why did she appeal to me? Is it because I'm just a big kid who needs to remember to go outside and see the world? Or is there something else she's trying to get me to remember? Something about my past, something about my name. Who am I? I've been trying to run from that question for so long, and I pushed her away. I tried to move on, but sooner or later, the past will always come back to bite you. You're vulnerable the moment you step outside. Outside your comfort zone, outside your little box, outside your... Actually, all this talk about going outside has reminded me I forgot to go before I left. I wonder if there's a bathroom around here.
I think this is absolutely necessary. He said this one's completely harmless.
You can never be too careful.